Hi guys, welcome to another interesting episode of Gist with Essay. We're back. I'm so happy to be back here with you guys on the Gist with Essay show. I've missed you guys so much. Thank you for all your messages and thank you for all your emails. If I haven't replied you, please bear with me. I'm gonna get to you pretty soon. So today we have a very beautiful and interesting guest on the show. She's someone who's full of life, full of energy. You would not believe what she's been through. But a lot of times we don't look like what we've been through. Yeah. So she's one of those people, and she's going to be taking us through her story. You guys need to stay tuned for the whole show. If you've got questions, you know how we do it on the GC show. Please put your questions in the comment section. If you want to be a part of the show, you can send us a message and we'll send you the link so you can join the studios to contribute or ask questions, ask the guest questions directly. And if you're watching me on YouTube, thank you. If you haven't subscribed, now is a good time to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button before the end of this show. And if you're joining us on Twitter or Facebook, thank you for joining us. I'm going to bring the guest on now. Her name is Jessica Mendez, and she's going to be telling us all about herself.
Hello.
Hi,
Can you see me
Jessica.
and hear me?
Yeah, I can see you. I can hear you. I love your hair.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
Yes.
growing it
So,
out. I had it shaved completely for about 9 months. This is about a year's growing it back now.
oh wow, interesting. Yes. So we've got some people. Okay, Kayla Ace just joined us. Hi, Kayla Ace. Thank you for joining us. Yes. So, Jessica, tell us, who is Jessica?
Jessica. Jessica is a Puerto Rican mom from Hell's Kitchen, New York. I I am 43 years old.
Wow.
I am a mother of two. I have a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old. And and I have two puppies that are my world as well. A
Mhm.
12-year-old and a almost 2-year-old.
Wow.
They are my emotional support pets, and I love them very much. But yeah, I work in the art industry, but my passion is in spreading awareness. So my mission and my goal in life is to raise awareness on the topic of sexual abuse. And I thank you for inviting me to your show and for giving me the chance to speak up and to share my story and to raise awareness.
Thank you, Jessica. That's lovely. You've got such a huge family. Two kids, two pets. So there's five of you in the house.
Yeah,
Wow.
small. It's a small apartment too,
Ah,
um, but we make it work. My daughter's right now. She lives in her dorm room in college, so she's away.
oh, great.
And my son, it doesn't take up too much space. He's always next to me anyway. But they do spend time living here. They live with their dad as well. And we have a good co-parenting relationship. We have had for many years, and I'm
Okay.
thankful and blessed in that sense. They have a wonderful stepmother and a baby sister on their dad's
Oh,
side of the family, and I'm really grateful for them and the relationship that we've been able to maintain.
okay. So before we go into to know more about you, I just wanted to talk to my viewers about why I brought you on the show. Okay, so if you've been following the GCSA show, of course you know that I wrote a book on abuse based on my experiences, and since then I've been trying to get people to come out and talk about their experiences and share their healing processes and all that. And I met Jessica on the gram, okay, and I just clicked with her because her vibe, her energy is so positive. You won't believe that she's someone who's been through so much. She's going to be telling us in her own words what she's experienced. Yeah. But, I'm all about the healing, okay, after the abuse, after all of the trauma, because I'm a strong believer that despite the abuse or in spite of the abuse, you can still have a fulfilled life. Your dreams can still come true. You can still achieve whatever you make up your mind to achieve. And Jessica gave me that vibe. So I said to her, you need to come on my show. And okay, we've been chatting off and on since I think November or December.
Yes.
She was supposed to come in December, but I took ill, so she couldn't make it. Yeah. But she had such a positive energy. She was sending me videos of herself. And I'm like, yes, if she's been through that and she's like this is the person that people need to see, as some sort of motivation for themselves to believe that they can make it despite or in spite of whatever, abuse they have experienced in their lifetime. So to get us started, talk to us about your background, your family background. What was your growing up in your family like? What were your family values?
Well, I grew up in what I felt was a typical Latino household. My parents were very religious. I grew up in a Catholic family. Um, Growing up, my mom used to tell me that my father was used to be into alcohol and drugs, but that church saved him. So when growing up, everything for them was connected to religion. Um, so they were very strict. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. I wasn't allowed to be bisexual. That was something that I also struggled with growing up, because that means I was going to go to hell according to the Catholic Church. And so I wasn't really able to be 100% myself. But I grew up, in a family where my mom showed love by feeding me. The more she feeds you, then feeds the family, the more love she's showing. I wasn't hugged so much and told I love you all the time, but
Mm.
um, I was taken care of. My clothes were clean. My house was clean. There was food on the table. Um, later, I wish I would have learned to do more of that on my own for when I was an adult. But growing up, it was just, you know, try to, it, the reputation and the religion was what was very important in my family.
Okay.
Stick to your religion and don't make the family look bad.
Mm. Okay, that's not too different from um, a typical African background, honestly. It's all about the religion, it's all about the family unit. Go to church, pray to God, don't sin, don't do XYZ, and don't bring shame to the family name and stuff like that. And so how did that make you feel? Because growing up for me, I felt like I was in a cage. You couldn't express yourself. There were things you weren't allowed to say. You had to keep quiet about. So how did that make you feel?
Um, you know, I think I was trained from when I was young to be a certain way and to act a certain way and to not talk about certain things. So, it's hard to say how that made me feel back then, because how I felt back then compared to now is different. I think
Yeah.
that back then I didn't know better. I was a little girl, so to me it was, you know, my dad was my hero, my mom was a saint, and this is how and I was so lucky to be in a family where my parents were still married. That was like, I thought that was, I was living the best life. So all of the things that were happening that shouldn't be, we just didn't talk about that. And then everything that everybody knew was good, so everything was okay. And I
Yeah.
learned that if we don't talk about it, then it's almost like it doesn't count. It's not happening. And so it didn't feel bad growing up. It felt normal, if
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Until you grow up and realize, no, that wasn't normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're like, oh my goodness, that was far from normal. And
Yeah.
and and I learned as I grew up, and in time, once I started getting help and therapy, and 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are victims of sexual abuse. So I was not alone. I just always thought I was. And
Mm,
now is like when I realize that there are so many of us out there who have experienced some type of abuse, and they're not alone. So I want to make sure that we spread the word and we let them know that we're in this together and that we can make change if we even just take some baby steps.
true. That's so true. Okay, guys, if you're just joining us, thank you for joining the Gist with Essay show. Please leave a comment. Tell us where you're joining us from. And our guest today is Jessica Mendez, and she's here to talk to us about her experience with abuse and how she dealt with it. Okay, it's always good to see you guys. Please drop a message, drop a hi. Say hi, Jessica. Yeah, and be a part of the
Hi.
conversation. Okay, so tell us how old were you when you were first violated, and how did you feel?
I I don't remember how old I was. I just know that I was single digits. It was it was for a few years, um, and then it stopped when I was about 13, between 13 and 14, because it was like I remember around ninth grade, early
Okay.
ninth grade. So 13, because that's when I was about ninth grade. Um, but when I was younger, I just remember flashbacks of being little. So I don't remember how old I was in that flashback, in that picture. I just remember what that little girl looked like, and she was young. She was very young. She was probably 8 years old. You know, um, and a lot of what I remember is just almost like photographs, like flashbacks of pictures, not complete complete events, because most of it I blocked out for over 40 years of my life, like until after I
Oh,
was
that's so
40.
good.
I wasn't able to really know everything that happened or most of what happened to me until I went to extensive therapy, and I was able to kind of unlock Pandora's box and then say, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe all of that happened to me." And then it all kind of came in waves. Um, yeah, so that was difficult, but um, but I think it was so necessary because I didn't know how much what happened to me affected me in the future and affected all of the
Mm-hmm.
choices that I made and affected me in the people that I chose to have as life partners, and the so much, you know um when I became a mom for the first time. I remember I had my daughter, and that's when I started to go to therapy, because I remember feeling like I'm uncomfortable wiping her, like changing her diaper, because I feel like I'm violating her. And I remember telling my therapist, like, I know this sounds so dumb, but I feel like I'm violating her when I'm cleaning her. And he had to
Mm,
explain to me, like, if you don't clean her properly, she can get an infection, she can get sick,
true.
like, it's you're caring for her. There's a difference, right? When you're
Okay.
cleaning a diaper, that and it was just I was mentally triggered by touching a child, and it was just like I felt something was wrong. And and I had to do years and years of therapy, to understand what's okay, what's not okay, what thoughts come in my mind that are weird, but I understand why that's happening and why they're coming. um, I had to kind of go through a whole roller coaster of unfortunate events so that I can get to a point where I woke up and it hit me that what I went through as a child affected me so much that small choices I continued to make throughout my teenage life and my young adult life all accumulated to making me like get to a point where I was suicidal and I didn't want to be in this world anymore. And that's why I tried to speak up for, you know, I try to raise as much awareness, not just for sexual abuse, but for suicide awareness as well. You know,
Okay.
it's real, and we even see in the news it's happening. You know, all the time.
Every
It's so
day. Yeah.
recent. You know, people who have the biggest smiles and dance the best dances are the most depressed sometimes. And you know, you see me walking around with a smile, saying that I am here to raise awareness, and I'm happy to do it. And this is a genuine smile, but
Yeah.
I had to fight really hard to earn it, and to I had to forgive myself
Mm.
because I was taking so much blame for so much. This is all my fault. Even when I was a child, I would think I probably did something to ask for this. You know, maybe it was something that I wore. No, I was a baby. You know,
Yeah.
there's no excuse. But until I was able to get to a point where I see this was not my fault, and some of the actions that I am making now as an adult are wrong, and I can change that, my whole life just changed. You know, I think that one of the main things for me, that helped me with all of the traumas that came with my abuse is my choice to become sober. Um, and so I'm about a little less than 3 weeks away from being 2 years sober. And
Wow. Okay.
I wouldn't have been able to make it through this, you know, coming out about my abuse. Um, I've been able to do it with a clean mind and a clean head. I've been able to feel everything, how it comes, and heal without any band-aids, you know, um, and just kind of work towards doing something about it instead of just being a victim. Because for many years I was just a victim, and I would use the excuse of what happened to me to, you know, I deserve this because of what happened, or I
Mm-hmm.
just made that bad choice because of what I went through.
Went through. Yeah.
You know, we have to stop making our past be the reason for our bad choices now and in the future. You know, we have the power to create this change that's so drastic if we all like came together and just made small changes. You know, something as simple as having a conversation with your kids about sexual abuse. My parents never talked to me about that. Maybe if my mom would have talked to me about it, I would have been able to tell her that my dad was sexually abusing me.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, but I was not ever able to talk about it. That's something, you know, if it's bad, don't talk about it. But we can change that now. You know, we can make it,
Yeah.
you know, different now.
Sadly, a lot of our cultures encourage that. Don't talk about it if it's bad. Just keep quiet, don't say anything about it. Now, I can relate with a lot of the things that you said. A lot of people don't speak up or don't even realize that what happened to them was wrong or that it was abuse until they've hit a certain age. Yeah, when they're much older um, for me, I always knew it was bad. I didn't know it was abuse. Okay, that it could be called that. Okay, I had different experiences. Okay, but I can relate with everything that you're saying because I've also spoken to people who up till now don't feel confident enough to talk about it because they're not sure if they encourage it or not. And sometimes the title of my book, by the way, is Happily Abused. And, it's because I chose that title because, people often think that because you don't talk about it and you keep letting it, go on, that, you're sort of encouraging it or you're sort of okay with it. But they don't know that even you don't know what's going on. yeah, and you don't know how to deal with it, right? So I want you to talk about some of the traumas you experienced, yeah, because now you're talking about being sober. What are you sober from, and um before you talk about the traumas, why did you go into therapy? What happened? Something must have happened to make you realize I need help and I'm going to go get help.
Mhm. Yeah, those are great questions. I think what made me go to therapy was when I had my daughter and I felt like I was abusing her. You know, when like
Okay.
I mentioned earlier, with the
Yeah.
changing of the diaper and giving her a bath, and I knew something was off, and I remembered that I had been sexually abused, but I also know that I had blacked out so much of it that
Mm.
I thought I was over it. I thought it wasn't affecting me. So when I started to go to therapy, and that was back in, well, when my daughter was born in 2004, I I started to learn, oh wow, wait a minute. My abuse caused me to have PTSD, right? So now I
Okay.
have this post-traumatic stress disorder, and I am triggered by so many things that I didn't realize I was triggered for. So then I learned that through therapy, I can help figure out what my triggers are. And and just like starting therapy is the most important step, because I think that once you're in it, you start to get you start to see the benefits. Um, and getting help for, just mental health in general, it's difficult because it's almost like cleaning your house. You know how it has to get messier before it gets cleaner? You
Yeah.
have to like take everything out and like then pick out what's good and what you're going to keep and what you're throwing out, what you're going to donate, and then you put it all together, right? So therapy is similar in the sense that, you go because you think you have, I'm just going to clean up my messy house, but it's more than just that. It's your mind has so many things in the subconscious that it doesn't remember, that going to therapy will help you come up with. And even if, also for people who are not ready to speak up, you know yes, I agree. It doesn't mean that you're not um, helping. It doesn't mean that you're choosing to like to be in a negative way, not helping. No, it's understandable. I was 41 years old when I decided to come out about my abuse.
Mm.
The only person I had told was my priest when I was a child. And what happened? I went to my priest and he told me, because he knew my parents, because they were members of the parish. He said, maybe your dad confused you with your mom,
What?
and he sent me home. And I never spoke about it again because
A
he's
priest?
a priest.
Sorry to cut you, Jessica. A
Hmm.
priest told you that.
Yes.
How
And
old were you when you said that when you went to the priest?
I was about 12 or 13.
So how old was your mom? Because how
My,
can your dad mistake a 12-year-old for a full grown adult?
mhm.
How?
And at that point, he had already been abusing me for years. Um, but I said, okay. And I think it's just my own defense mechanism. I said, okay, that's what the priest told me. So that must be true. And that's
Okay,
it.
so
And
did
I
he
never spoke about it again.
okay, so at the age of 12, did he continue after that,
No.
or
Mm-mm.
so it
I
stopped
don't
at
know if
that
maybe my
age?
maybe my priest spoke to him, maybe he didn't. Who knows? You never know, because my parents, they were very close to that church, and they knew the priest knew him very well. Um, but that was the last time when I told. It didn't happen after that again.
And your mom didn't know. Your mom didn't notice.
My mom was told, and she decided to not believe. And she, my mom was told. Um, she confronted my dad, who said it was a lie, and then she allowed him to give a spanking for punishment for being a liar. and then never spoke about it again. So in the case of telling your parent, it turns out that the child gets a spanking for being a liar, and the priest tells you that it it was a mistake. Um, I grew up loving my dad. I was a daddy's girl. Everybody told me, even people who knew that he was an abuser, would speak well about him. So I didn't even I I was almost raised and abused, but I always thought he was my hero. I didn't
Mm.
realize until I was older that it all kind of came back and hit me like, oh my God, I was abused for my whole childhood and I didn't even realize it. Um,
Wow.
and that's why a lot of people don't tell, because they think, why did you take so long? So many people wonder, why did you take so long to tell? There's so many different reasons for so many different people. I didn't remember a lot until I was older. Um, and some people remember but choose not to. And I think that that's what happened with my family. So when I came out and I told my family about what happened, again, I waited till I was 41 years old. So that was just 2 years ago, less than almost 2 years
Mm.
ago.
Yeah.
Um, since then, my mom she decided to forgive my father. They're still together. And my siblings, they don't talk to me anymore. And we used to be so close. And my whole family stopped talking to me. And he never even denied it. And so one of the reasons that it
If
was so hard for me to tell was because I was scared of hurting my family.
Mhm.
And then it turns out I told, and then they all abandoned me. Um, but I'm okay. And I'm
I'm so
still,
sorry. I'm so
you know,
sorry, Jessica, to hear that. That, because sometimes the hard part is not even the abuse itself. It's the effects of the abuse, one, yeah, and then the traumas that you have to deal with, the terrible choices that you have to deal with, and you just justify those choices because they help you numb the pain, or so we think, until we
yeah,
know better, yeah.
yeah,
But for me, having the voice and the courage to speak up about it and having people not believe you, I think that's that sends you into a deeper hole than the abuse itself. It feels like abuse all over again,
yeah.
because
That's a
that must
really
have,
good way to put it.
set off some triggers for you.
Yeah. That was really difficult because that was my whole security blanket. It was my mom and my sister and my brother. And then now all of a sudden, that's what I depended on almost for support. Um, but they're each of them have their own traumas also, and they have their own things that they've been through that only they can speak for themselves.
Yeah.
But when I think about my mom forgiving my mom has been with my father since she was 13 years old. He was 19.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. That's a
So
lot.
yeah, my mom had my sister when she was 16.
Oh,
So
God.
my dad's been abusing people since my mom.
Since he
You know
was
what I mean?
19. Yeah.
Yeah, since before that, because I found out later that he's done other things even before my mom.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but just to, and also to answer your question about the trauma that it caused, for me personally, I have PTSD, I have depression, I have anxiety, I suffer from panic attacks. I have poor judgment in choices in partners often, and I ended up um, drinking too much, where I would escape from drinking. And when I mentioned being sober, it
Hmm.
was alcohol. I stopped drinking, and I've been able to heal without having to escape. You know, I've been
Yeah.
able to just accept what's really happening for what it is, and be able to speak up with a clear mind. Um, and at this point, it's been so long since I've been able to, since I've been advocating for victims of abuse and standing up for people, that I'm so happy I've been able to do it sober, that I'm scared to even ever pick up a drink again,
Mm.
because I don't know what I'm capable of. I'll probably go, get stupid and go, like, do something stupid. Who knows? But I am so proud of myself for not needing the liquid courage, you
Mm.
know, for being able to stand up and speak in front of people, which is something I never would have been able to do before without needing the extra help from some substance. And
Yeah.
so I have lots of mental health issues, but I'm working on it.
Mm. That's great. I'm happy to hear that, you're working on it and, you're getting better. Oh yeah, Miss Sage says not having your family in your corner is the worst thing ever. Yeah, totally. I know how that feels. I mean, I can relate to how that feels. And okay, I just wanted to mention some people that I just noticed popped in. Oyinbo Okemute, all eyes watching from Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. And we have a couple of people from Nigeria as well. Esia Sagba, Oyemia Osage. Thank you guys for joining us. And please send in your questions. We're going to take a break soon, but send in your questions. So your questions or your comments. Tracy has a question for you, and she says, has your dad ever tried to talk to you and probably apologize about his actions?
No, my father has never tried to contact me. He he only speaks directly to my mom. And according to what my mom, the last time she spoke to me, told me, was that he said that he is so sorry for what he did, and that he went to confession so many times at church, and that he asked God for forgiveness and the priest, and that he's had to live with that in his conscience. And so my mother told me that he has been suffering with that in his conscience all of these years.
And that should just make everything okay. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a very sensitive question, because it's one of the things that I talk to the people, that I've had a chance to talk to about abuse. Yeah, and it's forgiveness, all about forgiveness. Okay, and I believe that forgiveness is not for the person necessarily; it's for you, so you can heal. All right, because I also believe that whether or not you get justice for what happened to you, it doesn't change, or it shouldn't change your healing. Justice isn't going to give you the healing that you're seeking. It may make you feel better, yeah, but you still need to put in the work to get the healing. So, for example, your father is arrested and then he goes to jail for the crime that he committed. You'll be happy that that's happened. At least he's not going to be able to do it to anyone else, okay? But that has nothing to do with your healing. You still have to work on that. Because whether he's dead or in jail, the traumas that you went through are still a part of you, and you need to deal with all of that. So I want to ask you, have you forgiven your father?
No, I have not. I don't know. I don't know if I can. I don't think that he's sorry, and I think he's just sorry he got caught.
Mm.
Um, so I forgive myself for everything that I've had to endure, and everything that I've put myself through, um, and the choices that I've made that I've regretted because of my past. I forgive myself for that. I forgive my mother because she's a victim still today. She hasn't been able to find her peace. She's with him, but she's miserable. How are you
Mm.
happy? How do you sleep next to a man knowing he's abused your child? You know, she cannot be happy, and I just feel sorry for her, and with my siblings as well. I don't I don't forgive my father, but I do forgive my mother, my brother, and my sister, because they don't know any better, and they're still living in the bubble.
Wow. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
My girl call me rotten, rotten. My ex, same thing. My girl call me rotten. Tell them what? My ex, same thing.
Say me too bad, bad. They call me rotten. Say I too spoil, oh, so call me rotten. Say me too bad, bad. They call me rotten. Say I too spoil, oh, so call me rotten. Slay mama, them a call me rotten. A quacker, they call me rotten. Or about them a call me rotten. The way I press that button. Slay mama, them a call me rotten. A quacker, they call me rotten. Or about them a call me rotten. The way I press that button. Ooh, yeah, she want more than tell me say, bad boy push further. Put your body in order, I go do it better, make you scream louder. She real good, salt and pepper. Nobody does it better. You look nice and proper, smile for papa, come give me supper. Say me too bad, bad. They call me rotten. Say I too spoil, oh, so call me rotten. Say me too bad, bad. They call me rotten. Say I too spoil, oh, so call me rotten. Slay mama, them a call me rotten. A quacker, they call me rotten. Or about them a call me rotten. The way I press that button. Slay mama, them a call me rotten. A quacker, they call me rotten. Or about them a call me rotten. The way I press that button. Make it stretch elastic. In the room gymnastics. Where I move automatic. Yeah, on that kitty, breaking bad, too much chemistry. Baddest ones in the industry. When I touch you, I leave a legacy. I go make it taste ecstasy. Say me too bad, bad. They call me rotten. Say I too spoil, oh, so call me rotten. Say me too bad, bad. They call me rotten. Say I too spoil, oh, so call me rotten. Slay mama, them a call me rotten. A quacker, they call me rotten. Or about them a call me rotten. The way I press that button. Slay mama, them a call me rotten. A quacker, they call me rotten. Or about.
Welcome back, guys. We're still on the Gist with Esse show, and our guest today is Jessica Mendez, and she's here to tell us her story. Sad, but yeah, there's a lot to learn from this, and I'm really happy that she came on the show today, because she's been dropping so many things that a lot of people that I've spoken to, that a lot of people that I've been working with, that have been dealing with abuse, can also relate to. All right, so if you're just joining us, please drop a comment. Let's know where you're joining us from. And I'm going to take this comment before we go on. Oyemi says, there is no way I can forgive an abuser. Sometimes you feel you have, but sometimes those thoughts come and you get angry all over again. That's how difficult I know it is to forgive. What do you have to say about that, Jessica? Okay, Jessica, you're muted.
Oh, there we go. I hear music in the background. Do you hear that?
No.
Hold on 1 second.
Well, can you hear me?
I thought it was the hold music that I was hearing in between. I can still hear it. That's okay. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. All right, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. So, the forgiveness. I think that it's hard to forgive, and the the memories do come back, you know, and even if you do forgive, there's a chance that the memories are always, it's not like they disappear. Um,
Yeah.
they just, they don't hurt as bad in time. You know, it's like, um, it's not that you heal, and what happened goes away. It's just that you understand it more, you understand yourself more. And I
Mm.
think it's important to, you know, through getting help through therapy, um, to learn your triggers, so that then when something happens, that the memory comes up or something comes up, you can say, oh, okay, I know that I'm feeling this way because of this reason. So I'm not gonna let myself go into a downward spiral of, you know, thinking all these bad thoughts, and then having it become slowly worse, you know. You're able to say, okay,
Yeah.
this is why I'm feeling this way. It's understandable. I deserve to be angry for a few minutes. That's okay. It's gonna be fine, you know.
Okay. Oyemi says, did the abuser ever change your perception about relationship with guys? That's a very good question, Oyemi.
Um, I was for many years I was just a people pleaser, you know.
Mm.
If somebody was attracted to me, if a guy was attracted to me, I would be attracted to him back because he was attracted to me.
Mm.
Um, as opposed to like, how about I figure out what I really like about a man first, and then I'll, you know, see if he's a good fit for me.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it changed my, um, what I looked for in a man as well, because I always needed to be desired in a certain way, and it affected me even in my, you know, sexual relationships. Um, I think that intimacy was affected as well, because
Mm.
my vision of love or making love was very different, um,
Mhm.
than I think what it should be from somebody, you know, somebody who understands what it is to be loved and to, you know, accept and appreciate your body and understand how precious it is. I didn't I didn't have that. I didn't understand how important, um, I was. I didn't understand how precious my body was. And so it took me a long time, you know. And I'm so thankful that now I can be in a place where I I can love myself and allow myself to be loved without my brain going into a negative, you know, a negative place.
Wow. So I'm gonna ask you about your healing. So you went to therapy, and therapy must have helped because it helped you at least identify that you were abused, and so you knew you needed to deal with that. Okay. Were there particular steps that you took, apart from going sober and the therapy itself? Well, what were the things that um, therapy helped you to do that aided your healing, or that has helped with your healing? Because healing is a lifelong process. It doesn't just you don't get healed automatically, and it doesn't happen and then you forget everything that's happened to you. It's like getting a cut. Yeah, it will leave a scar. So every time you look at that scar, you remember, okay, I was hurt by this, and this is what happened. This is how I felt, and so those are kind of triggers. So healing it's a process, and it's continuous. It doesn't ever end, especially when you keep getting triggers and all of that. But how did therapy help you, and what else, if there's anything else that helped you, in your healing?
Um, Absolutely therapy. I'm a big advocate for that. But I think that it was really, you know, a combination of different things. I do things for myself and for my own mental health. Like, for example, I like boxing. So
Okay.
boxing is a way for me to escape and, to let out energy and let out frustration. You know, I also speak up and I advocate for victims of abuse. So being of service and giving is such a big part of healing. because what happens is the more you learn, the more you research, and the more you provide support to others, you know, the more you see that the problem is way bigger than you ever thought. And the more
True.
you heal because you're helping other people heal.
Oh,
And
yeah.
even if I'm just speaking up and saying, listen, I believe you, those 3 words, oof, those are powerful. You know, I believe you and I hear you can save somebody's life. And the effects of sexual abuse
Yeah.
have caused so many people to lose their lives to suicide. And so I think that it's important for us to raise awareness. And by me um, doing everything I can to spread my voice,
Yeah.
that's helped me with my healing, because it's not just about me anymore. You know, before I was protecting myself and protecting my secret.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's no secrets. Now I walk out with my head up high and I'm not ashamed of what I went through. I'm not ashamed of what I'm doing now. And I'm proud of it so that I look forward to the future, you know, and that's helped me with my healing. And that makes me never want to think about killing myself ever again because I
Yeah.
have too much to do. I have a new to-do list, and um it's all going to happen, you know, because of people like you, Essay, because you've been able to help me spread my voice. Um, and little by little, people are going to start talking about it at home, you know, little conversations at the dinner
Mm-hmm.
table or, you know, after watching a movie, um, little talks, making uncomfortable conversations comfortable at home will create change and things will get better.
Yeah. So I'm just smiling because what you've said now is something I think we all have that in common. Those of us that are survivors, we have that, the need to help other people through it. So I'm just going to read a charge from my book because it just says everything that you just talked about. And I'm happy that, when I think about it, I know there are other people like you, okay, who are also thinking in the same line that I'm thinking, and together we're stronger, isn't it? The more of us there are, the the better help people out there will get. So I'm just going to read that quickly. I mean, not read to the end, but it says, all of your experiences put together have made you powerful. So the abuse and the traumas and the bad choices, everything put together have made you powerful. And you need to reach inside of you to tap into that power. You need to use that power to heal. Heal because you need it. Heal because so many others depend on you too. There are so many broken women whose healing depends on your healing. And that's why our healing is very important. They are waiting to touch the hem of your garment. It doesn't matter how weak you may be. It doesn't matter if you think you're not ready. Just put one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. And hey, beautiful, whatever you do, don't look back. You're not going that way. Not anymore. You know, that, really touches me, that I think that part of um, the most important part of the healing process is when you've gotten to the point where you can take someone else by the hand and say, girl, I got you. Yeah. And there's so many ways you can do that. And you're doing that right now through your social media. You're spreading the word, you're encouraging people every day, and we're all doing it together. So we're so much stronger. And I just want to applaud you and the work that you do. And on those days when you feel low, remember the person or the people that are better because you spoke up. Yeah. So can you we're gonna end the show. I don't want to keep you for too long. What's your message to the people who are still experiencing abuse and are afraid to speak out? And what's your advice to the people dealing with the traumas of abuse?
Tell someone. tell anyone. I'm going to say that again. Tell somebody, even if it's one person, find somebody you trust. Um, it's important. It's important to let it out. It's important to say it, whether it's to a therapist or to a best friend or to a family member. Um, Keeping it in is it's just putting your healing on pause. I would say to find a support system. It doesn't have to be family. Family is who you choose. Um, Sometimes the closest people to you are not the healthiest people to you. So to really
Mm.
think about who's around you, how do they make you feel? Is their energy good for you? Do you feel safe around them? Surround yourself with people who make you feel good and feel safe. Um, and if you're too scared to speak up, just know that you're not alone, and you just have to take it one day at a time. And one day you'll have the courage, and
Mm.
your time will come. Just see it and manifest it, and it will happen. And in the meantime, you have me, you have Essay, and you have us standing up for you. Um, you're not alone ever. And I'm not sure what the number is in London, but I know that in the United States, if you dial 988, that's the suicide awareness hotline, and you can call them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week
Mhm.
for help if you're ever feeling like you don't have anybody to talk to, and you can't take it anymore. There's always somebody to call all the time. You're never alone.
Never. You're never ever alone. Thank you so much, Jessica. Now, before I let you go, can you tell us 5 things that you do for your mental health right now? And
Sure.
just so that people, can learn from that, and they can be encouraged by that.
Well, I love art. So I love drawing and painting. That's one thing that I would say find a hobby, find a passion. I love my puppies. My animals, they are emotional support pets. They work miracles. You have no idea. I would say having an emotional support animal is amazing. Also, my children, they're my life. They're what I live for. Um, I do everything that I do for them. And I would say finding a support system, again, like-minded people. If you're choosing to be sober, if you want to quit drinking alcohol, there's Alcoholics Anonymous, who has a wonderful program with wonderful success rates. Um, and the fifth, I would say, is to read. Find books that match what your goals are. I just bought a few books, and I kind of started reading all of them at the same time. One of them I bought, and I'm listening to the audio book of it.
Mhm.
Whether it's an audio book or reading a book, however it is, um, educate yourself. Find something new to learn. I'm learning sign language. Um,
Okay,
that's my
interesting.
passion. So find something that you're passionate about, do it, so that you can find things to be proud of yourself for.
Mm. Thank you so much, Jessica. I love you so much because you're such a happy person. You remind me of
I love
myself.
you.
When I see you, I'm like, okay, I'm not alone, not just in the experience, but in the outcome, in what I have become, what I've made of myself. Okay. And that is a kind of magnet. Yeah. Your happiness is a kind of magnet. People want to, associate with you. And that's one of the quickest ways you can get people to actually open up to you when they see that, and then they see, oh, you've been through this, and you have this much joy in your life, and how did you do it? They want to know, they want to learn more from you. And so I want to say, okay, Keda A says all the best. Oyemi says thank you, Jessica.
Thank
Wow,
you.
wow, this was wonderful. And once again, I would like to say I'm so sorry that you went through all of that.
Thank
It
you.
wasn't easy, and I know that especially when you came to realize that what happened to you was abuse, it must have taken a toll. It must have been a lot for you to deal with. I can imagine the paranoia when you're, changing your baby and you're thinking, am I doing to her what was done to me and stuff like that? It takes a really strong person to still be here. And that's why you're called a survivor. I don't like to use the word victim. Victims are the ones who didn't make it. Victims are the people who, didn't make it through, who either ended up committing suicide or are still struggling with one harmful habit or another. They're still struggling. But you've come out and you're victorious, and you're a joy to be around. You're a joy, you're someone that people can learn a lot from. And so I want to just keep encouraging you, keep doing what you're doing. Baby steps, but you're gonna get there. One foot in front of the other. You're gonna get there. You're gonna affect many lives. All right. And I hope your children are proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud to know you. They are. Yeah, that's good. So thank you very much for being on the Gist with Essay show. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I appreciate
Thank you
guys.
for having me.
I love you guys. Until next time on Gist with Essay, remember what I always say: stay positive, stay happy, stay mended. Bye, guys.